will get visible after things totally calm down, right? Meanwhile, your calendar is feral like a crazy cat all over the place. Colors, you can't even remember what they are anymore. Your inbox is totally on fire. Yeah, you wish you could set fire to it. And later has been lying to you for years because you know what? The truth is, you are the best kept secret, my friend. You're busy doesn't equal visible. Hard work doesn't magically broadcast itself across the radio waves. Nope. That's why the Brew and Stew Media Spotlight exists. That's right. A collaboration between Nicole Borghi and Colleen Stubbs. One booking, two podcasts, no pitching, no chasing, no pretending you enjoy the outreach. We know you don't. Nobody does. You show up, you talk like the authority you already are. Your message gets heard on purpose to an aligned audience. Stop waiting. Stop hiding behind the busy button and book your Brew and Stew Media Spotlight package now, because staying invisible is a choice and you're not going to do it anymore. You're going to be visible. You're going to be influential. Scan the QR code. Make that choice for the Brew and Stew package. Busy, booked, exhausted. Your inbox is screaming at you like a siren. Your calendar is still feral. Still calling yourself visible and you're just the best kept secret? Turns out I was right there with you, my friend. Wasn't getting seen, was just the best kept secret. Wasn't getting heard, definitely, kind of getting paid. But here, the magic, my friend. It's a collaboration between Colleen Stubbs and Nicole Borghi. The Voice Lab on the school platform shows you how to use podcast spotlights, summit stages, and simplified, yeah, that's right, simple outreach systems so your visibility actually works. Get seen, get heard, join the free Voice Lab on the school platform, and you're going to get it all. Because if you're working this hard, someone else should know about it. Scan the QR code today. All right, wonderful people. Welcome back to another amazing edition of the Pain Point Podcast. And I have a super cool person here today, Miss Mary Ferris. We're going to get to that in a few minutes, but I want to get through some housekeeping because it's very important, right? To talk about your own stuff. And sometimes we forget the most important part of why we're here. Why are we talking into the camera? Almost every day. What are we doing here? There are some amazing events that are happening today. There is a super special edition, speaker edition of the Pain Point podcast. It's going to be at 3:30 Eastern. All that'll be up in a few minutes, and you guys will see shortly today. Everybody that's going to be on the speaker panel. And we're going to be talking about what's coming up because there's some events that are coming up. We have tomorrow is the Devastated to Divine Alignment. And that is going to be a marathon day. It's really about supporting, confronting domestic violence, and we're coming out to support that. And we know that you've walked through the fire and you've faced the storm and you've looked pain dead in the eye and you said, hey, not today. So this is all about getting past the post-traumatic growth, getting out of, moving from survivor and stop being in that haze. And it's no fun being in that moment. You've survived, but you're always looking for the next pain point and almost bringing it into you. So we want to shift that mindset, move past that, look at emotional intelligence and some healing there and getting past that and what can we do to really change society as a whole and our community? It's not just changing one person. It's changing the lives of many if we all come together. We have about 17, it looks like 18 speakers total. Wonderful people who have supported this cause and are coming out, so support them. This will be going out in the emails. It's free to attend. We do have a little bit of a VIP upgrade, and that is in support of confronting domestic violence. All that information is going to be going into the chat here shortly, all about this. And as well, what else do we have coming up? Also, the CEO Hacker Summit. It's unlocking the next level leadership. And that is all about CEOs hacking their way into entrepreneurship. What's happening, guys? It's 2026, and not everybody's going to be able to keep their job, nor are they going to want to, because it's going to be all about AI and tech. So let's switch that. Use the tech for good. Use the tech to empower your business, all those cool tools, level up, simplify your systems, and market yourself. How easy is it to turn on the camera and go? That's what this is all about. And that's what I practice, what I preach. Get on the mic, friends. Rock the stage. Talk about you. Talk about your business. We have that as well. And you saw it's all about systems that work, profit strategies, and leadership mastery. Some business strategy a little bit mixed in there. Both of these summits will have a speaker panel, so you can come to hear the great information on the speakers, the Q&A, and it's just a simple format, but also stay for the engagement on the CEO Hacker. We're going to have some time to network. There's several summits coming up, and if you guys haven't looked yet, go over to the Voice Lab platform, and that's a great platform if you want to get seen and heard. We will be listing several summits coming up. It's going to be a great year. We really want to brand and move forward and market. That's what we're all about. We want to get you on the stage and help you show your best self, your best presence, and talk about you, your products, and your services. I know everybody says don't do it, but that's what this is all about. The Pain Point podcast is about solutions for your business, and that's what we want to get into here and say, hey, let's get seen, let's get heard, and let's bring Miss Mary in. All the information will be on the chat. So, Miss Mary, welcome to the Pain Point podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. It's great to be here.
Awesome. You were here, you were in the Monday Morning Business foreplay, and we had to get you on the second stage because of what you do. And the fact is when you show up, you fully are present in who you are. People love to talk to you. I hear so many wonderful things about people who have either collaborated with you, had a conversation with you, gotten to know you through different places, through different events, even through networking. But really, it's you bring your full self. You're fully present, you're authentic, you're a truth teller, and you're not afraid to get in the spotlight. So, welcome, Mary. If you would tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. I met you through Colleen, actually, and this is so great because that is the beauty of networking, isn't it? And one of the things that I'd like everybody to know about me is that I came from a background in gymnastics, high level competitive gymnastics. I moved into coaching. I owned a gym. I started a publishing company. I wrote books. And then I moved into personal development. But you know what they say is that you've been this person all along. And actually, Nicole, we kind of talked a little bit about this. I went to find myself, but I found that it was me that I was looking for all along, right? And so, really, what happens is that all of these iterations of who I was in the past have built into who I am now. So, I'm a personal development consultant, I'm an author, I'm a publisher, and I help people kind of like you step out into the spotlight and share their story and share why their interests, their expertise, their economy that's revolving around them is so important and how they can shine and really embrace who they are. And I think that I just love doing that. I love helping people get into the spotlight and tell their story so we can relate to them a little bit deeper.
Absolutely. When you get to know someone at a soul-led level, at a soulful level, you get to know their intimate on an intimate level, and you get to know a lot more details, and it's easier to open up and have a conversation with them and talk about business. And it's so important. Many of the conversations I've had in the last few weeks is not only do we need to be personable and engaging and connect. It's absolutely necessary. That's how we're doing this here, even to get to live events and our neighbors, our friends, our family. But also, we really need to start talking about the mindset of where we are and get back to or start again in this new process moving forward to stay. How are we connecting? How are we showing up professionally? And how are we showing up mentally, emotionally? So when we walk in the room, we're professional. We are there for business. We have to do business. We have to absolutely provide solutions and not share a little too much information about ourselves on a personal level in that moment. And so the professionalism that you bring when we talk about that, and I think that is when you say, hey, I was in gymnastics. You owned a gymnastics place, right? A studio? Is that what
Yep.
you call it? Okay.
Yep.
Um, and when people are learning that, I think part of that mindset is at a young age is to teach personal development. You're teaching emotional intelligence, and you're teaching that part of a team and the dynamic of working together with your coach, working with, maybe at a young age, it's kind of playmates, you're there for fun. But there's a difference between people. My background is law enforcement and security. So there's a total difference between people that come up with you on a team that work out with you. Not just a camaraderie of going to the bar afterwards and having a few and saying and having a conversation about the day and de-stressing and clearing all that out. But it's the ability to have a team that you know is going to support you. What is that like in your community? Because you're very involved in that. How does that change not only your the people in the gym that you're training, but also reflection upon the community? It's
Yeah.
large.
That is a great, great question. And you're right. It's different than just getting together after work, right? And because what we go through as a part of a team and in something like a sport and gymnastics and that type of thing is we're going through the struggle every single day. It's not easy. Gymnastics isn't an easy sport. Entrepreneurship is not easy. There's always something to overcome. There's always something, an obstacle that we need to figure out. There's always something to keep us moving forward. And when you're a part of a team, those teammates see that, and the camaraderie is deeper because they're helping you through that. And we know each other at a deeper level because we've seen each other kind of at our worst, right? We're just frustrated and crying on the sidelines, and we're like, oh, can I keep going? But we also see each other at our best. And I think that when we are a part of a team and in cohesion towards a common goal, that we see the full person and we see how they show up when it's hard and when it's fun and easy, right? And so I think you're right. We get to know each other at such a deeper level, and that's just like personal development. It is reflected in that whole thing because it's not easy working on yourself all the time. It's not easy going after those big, huge goals that most people are afraid to go after. You were chatting right before the show too, and people love the dream, right? But are they willing to do the work and put in the next step that needs to be done in order to do it? And that's what I help people with, is create that self-image around the end. Where do I need to be in here to get here on the outside?
So if people, so if people don't have that, I mean, when I was younger, um, whether it was groups of other kids or, I think I was in ballet for maybe 30 days or something before my mom took me out. There's not always those parents that want to support you in that component of life. So when you get to people as an adult, and there's a lot obviously that are out there that didn't practice sports, that didn't have any leadership, maybe didn't even join the chess club or do a debate team, didn't even serve that in high school. They're just out screwing around. I mean, I definitely was a time or two. I'm so glad that they didn't have pictures back in the, we didn't have phones. You couldn't be found. Who knows where I was, getting lost somewhere. And but looking at that today, when people grow up, I saw that a lot in it was a corporate, it became the casinos I worked at in security became more corporate. And so we thought, oh, let's hire people with no experience. And the thought was we can train them up to become leaders the way we want to, and mold them and shape them. Well, that's all great in theory, but nobody wanted to mentor anybody. We stopped field training people and working with. There's no mentors. These people don't have an apprenticeship. they don't even know how to say hello to people 15 feet in front of them and not run and hide and be like, oh gosh, I got to get on my phone and text. You see that at the Walmart. You see someone, you go to get their attention and they're on their phone. They don't want to be talked to. They don't want to even say hello. It's a scary thought or not a thought at all anymore. When people come to you and now they're an adult, how do you work with that? And they're looking to get the emotional intelligence. They're looking for the leadership. They're looking for the mindset shift. At that point, where do you unpack that, or do you just say, just ditch it all, let's start fresh?
Well, it's kind of like what you have to do is ditch it all and start fresh because we have all of these conditionings and programs that are running around in our subconscious mind that are causing us to hide behind our phone. And whether we don't think we're worthy or we feel like nobody's listening or we're just not confident or we don't have a good message, whatever it might be, whatever that program is that's running in there, we have to create a new one that reflects where you want to go rather than what's gotten you to where you are right now. And so self-image is so key to that. And self-image is how you see yourself, yes, but it also sets the boundaries for what you can achieve. And so when we have a self-image of I'm not enough, I can't do this, I don't know enough, I don't have resources, I don't have money, when we play those programs about who am I to have this goal, then we hold ourselves back and self-sabotage. So, what we need to do is I take people through a process of creating the self-image of the person who has the goal, who has what you want in your life. So, first, you have to know what you want. Plain and simple. You have to know where you're going. You have to have a destination, like in a GPS, right? You have to know where you're going in order to create the path. And so we have this goal and we decide what it is that we want. And then there are a few ways of doing that. You can start by taking people who already have your goal. Well, how do they act? What do they do? You know, if Nicole is an inspiration to you, well, what about her is inspirational? What is it about Nicole that you would like to emulate in your life? You know, she's not shy, so maybe that's part of it, right? And so then we begin to kind of catalog these characteristics that we want to begin to embody. You know, I used to be shy. When I was a kid, I was shy. And I'll use this example. I was on a gymnastics trip and I was with my teammates and my niece came with me. She's 10 months younger than me. She didn't know my teammates, but she was yucking it up in the restaurant and I'm like, "Wow, I want to be like her. I want to be like Lisa. She's like the center of everything. I didn't want to be the center of everything, but I wanted to be comfortable. And so I decided that's how I was going to be. And so every time I got into this weird, uncomfortable situation when I wanted to hide, I thought, no, how does Lisa act? How does she act? No, she would smile. She would say, hey, she would say something to the people, right? And so that's how we do it. We kind of figure out something to emulate, and then we just go off and we train ourselves to be that way. And we have to see ourselves in a different light. Does that make sense?
Well, it totally does, because when you look at something where it's like, okay, you are exactly the image of your five closest friends. And the reason for that is you want to have somebody to look at, to mentor you, to be someone that you can look up to, that can guide you, that's at least 5 steps ahead of you, and say, "Hey, I can have a better life," because you'll start to emulate that. You'll start to walk in that magic of what you chose. And that's frankly, it's why years ago, and they probably doesn't look like this anymore if you turn the TV on. But the judge, if somebody went up and they would get out of jail, part of that as a gangbanger was like, hey, you don't get to go hang out with your buddies. You don't get to go hang out with your friends because they're not helping you. If part of your probation or your parole is to change who you are. And it was a message sent to people to say, if you go back home, you're going to be you're going to be putting yourself back in that bad, awful situation. Same with the kids in juvenile hall when I worked in there. It was like, hey, the problem was half the time it was their parents, right? They would go home and their parents were the worst. That's why the jails are full during the holidays because the kids not only get gifts, but they get taken care of, they get treated special at that time, and their parents aren't part of that manipulation, and they're not taking their gifts at the time either. So we had private time for them. But it's looking at that as a whole in society. When you unpack it on an entrepreneur level, this is the reason to take yourself out of that situation and move and evolve into a good situation. We can look at the past, and I know going into coaching, going into healing as a Reiki master and all of that, coming out of leadership, it was like everybody wants you to relive those moments. You got to look at your shadow self. There's a time and a place that's great. But when you're done with that journey, when you're done with that moment, now you got your closets clean. You don't start opening those boxes. Get rid of them. Let them go. Let that junk go. Let the skeletons in your closet out. Stop reliving the pain of that moment because that's all you're doing. Now you're around partners in pain, and it's such a cycle. And I see so many people. That's why I love what you do, because I see so many people wanting to stay in that cycle and relive that moment. And I was at a event yesterday, and all the lady could talk about was personal stuff, and it's like, this is all about business. This is
Right.
all about leveling up. And
Mhm.
now you just in 30 seconds you brought the entire room down just because you wanted to tell people how bad your life was and how nobody understood. That's not really the time and the place. And so when you exemplify the culture of leadership and being soul led, now you can be a great entrepreneur. And if you're around people making money, some of that's going to rub off somewhere. Let it rub off a lot faster, right?
Yeah,
How did
yeah, yeah. No kidding. Well, Gay Hendricks said something in one of his books that, we just try to out victim each other, right? Oh, I got sick. Oh, I got sicker, right? We try and make things sound worse for ourselves than better. So one of the things that is important is, you're right, change the community that you're around. Find people who are also on an improvement trajectory. Find people who are also wanting more positive in their life. Find people who are also looking towards reaching those goals. Quit getting sucked in to looking through the rearview mirror, because that is so small in comparison to the windshield, right? The rearview mirror is so small. And so if you want to live a bigger life, let's look through a bigger window.
that's absolutely true, and you want to live in that past, but if you look at what is coming forward, how do we move forward in this? Things have changed so hard and fast. I'm going to blame it on the CERN collider because whatever, it's the Mandela effect. Let's go back to that. I'll blame it. I'm not going to blame it on people. I'm going to blame it on just weird stuff happened, right? Then 2020 happens, and then even weirder stuff. So let's look at what we have today and truly stop living in that past and being a partner in pain. You're not helping. You're not changing. And this is so much part of having a stage and coming as a speaker to an event. That means this live conversation. That means a podcast. That means a networking event. That means a summit. You have got to show up in your full majesty at that moment. And the great thing is that, hey, whatever, and I'll say it in my past, hey, I went to work so I can get rid of get away from the trauma. I was a caregiver. I caregived for several family members. Work was a way for me to put on a uniform, have it pressed, my shoes shine, my hair brush, and I was present in the moment. You stand up tall, you stand up proud, and in that moment, you're feeling good, and everybody around you's going to have a feel good moment. I mean, even at the beginning of a club night when we were in the casino, all the girls, everybody's dressed on their best. You want to watch them when they get in the door, not when they're leaving from the back door and getting kicked out. Not it representing their best self, but the image that you are presenting when you first walk in the door and you're going out to dinner, and you're 100% your best self, and you're promoting. You are a calling card. You are in you are that old, when we would hand out the business cards, you are that. You're walking in that presence, and people want you on the stage. And this is really important when you're in a summit, and you hear it all the time, and I know I say it just all the time is aligned. You want to be aligned with your avatar. You want to be aligned with the people that you are around, and you want to be aligned with your audience. Because if you're talking about all this painful stuff and you bring trauma to the stage, people want to feel better. People want to go, yeah, let's go. Let me buy your product. That's really cool. You're making me feel better. I'm all in. I love the vibe. I want to get on a call with you. I want your lead magnet. That's how you get the leads. So show up and shine. If you're not getting the leads, your message is probably a mess, and you're in your trauma. And that's why we're bringing the Devastated to Divine Alignment Summit is about moving past the trauma and how do we share and change multiple people. I can't force you to do it, but I can say, hey, come on. So, when people are looking at that and they stay for the business sense, and we're looking at it, you know, how do capable people that have this formulation, that have this structure, seem to stay kind of broke? Is it their mindset? Is it the people they're around? Or maybe they just need a good strategy.
Yeah, well, I think all of the above probably has a lot to do with it because we are conditioned to think a certain way about money as we're growing up. My parents thought a certain way about money. Your parents thought a certain way about money. That person's parents thought a certain way about money. And many times, coming from the employee mindset, like my money comes from that guy over there, that business owner pays me for my time. And that employee mindset is hard to break when people launch into entrepreneurship. And one of the things that we need to do is understand that there's an infinite source of supply. Money is energy, and energy is everywhere. And what you do is so great, Nicole, because you help people circulate the energy that's around them. You help people get their voice out there. You help people say something that they want to say to appeal to the people they want to appeal to. And you give them that confidence. And what that does is circulates the energy around them. And you're right. People go, "Ooh, I need that. I want that. Oh, I relate to her. I want to be on a call with her. I want to see what she wrote or what she's saying in that summit or in her membership or whatever it might be." And we need to understand that money is also that energy. And so many times, my mentor, Bob Proctor, says, figure out what your current results are in three areas: health, wealth, and happiness. Because think about it. A lot of people are happy, but they are broke. A lot of people are healthy, but they're not wealthy. A lot of people are wealthy, but they're not happy. And so we have to have a balance among all three of these things. And here's the key is none of them are different. They're all the same energy. We put this relativity on them. We give them the definition of what they are. And so we put the parameters on them. We hold ourselves back in one of those three areas or all of those three areas, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I think that as let's get into there's one question, and that comes to me a lot, and I see it a lot in sometimes in women's groups, and I want to there's a different set of groups that are out there that are super supportive, having worked with you, having worked with other people in different groups. Lynn Lionhood and her networking, Colleen Stubbs, just a different set of person that's actually willing to truly support at a stronger level. And I want to say, just there are some bottom feeders, male and female, that want to see that in that diva sense, but yet inside it's unfortunate because there's so much going on in there. There's so much that's crazy, and I think that this is another reason to have a stage to come and show up and be in the right groups, so we don't try to make that change in that movement, and we're strong here in our business, but we're not strong in our relationships. Riding the woman's way. I mean, my mother was a bra burner, full hippie, dippy into this all kinds of crazy stuff. And it was women's lib, yeah, yeah, yeah. But there was never a guidance and a strength that, hey, we'll show up as a strong woman. I'm woman, hear me roar. That old bring home the bacon, fry it up in the pan. You guys remember that when it was on the Muppet Show? That was hilarious. Miss Piggy. But what say is when women get off the stage, and I want to, I would love to see that persona 100%. And going back to whether it's the police academy or gymnastics, it's the team mentality. I think basically what I'm getting to is there's leadership out there on the stage as soon as the camera's turned on, but there's no personal leadership, and sometimes that leads to no personal accountability behind the scenes, which is so detrimental to your business and your team, and a mixed message you're sending. What would be a solution that you would offer for people that, or that you offer your clients to come in and say, hey, there's a full shift that and a transition that we need to go to at all times, and we need to be present of who we are in any form or fashion.
Yeah. Well, I have a self-image script, and inside my self-image script is my purpose, and my purpose is to lead by example and to follow the laws of nature, essentially. And so leading by example, I am reminded by that every single day. And so, what does that mean? That means I do what I teach my clients to do. I show up for myself and I show up for them. And so that's what I teach them. And part of what we do in our community is to help people see themselves as the person they want to become, and that person isn't shy and isn't slinked back. And it's not that we are loud and abrasive. That's not it at all. But we show up for ourselves and we show up for each other all the time, not just on stage, not just, putting a good foot forward, or kind of like what you were talking about with the women at the clubs. They show up looking good, but they leave through the back door because they got kicked out. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about showing up with purpose, staying there with purpose, and leaving with integrity. And that is so important. And that's what our community does is helps people identify who they want to be and supports them along that path.
Absolutely. And in the chat, I do want to point this out. So yes, so what is getting said in the chat? I don't think I can see the names, but yeah, really bringing the solutions, and people, everybody's with you 100% on what you're saying, and right on those words, because you are offering solutions to the full gamut, the full picture, right? You want to accessorize, I think it's accessorizing your soul in a sense, right? You
Yeah.
want the matching handbag with the gown and the shoes. And then if if you didn't put your Spanx on sometimes, it's not going to look as good. So we want the full picture. We want you to show up just right, through and through, and be that present, and I that self script, it's huge. And if there's accountability, having an accountability partner, and the girlfriend that's going, hey, are you okay? Really? And I'm here for you when you're ready to talk. Let's turn off the camera. Let's stop recording and go have a one-on-one conversation. Or that person that's going to say, hey, did you really, was that necessary? We all need that friend. And it's like the president doesn't just need the vice president. They need that person that's gonna be like, hey,
They
by
need the
the way,
advisor.
yeah, you need the advisor that's gonna say, hey, you're not gonna like to hear this, but yeah, knock it off. Knock that stuff off, basically. That's not okay. It's not your message. It's not full integrity. And we see this all the time. If you're watching news, or you watch YouTube, or you're watching stuff, people who are coming up, there's scandals and there's all this stuff coming up to people. Somebody will be very presentable on camera and in a great suit, their hair is done, everything works, all the words are exactly the way that's going to move the algorithm, and you're supporting the team, right? And then off camera, you got a few texts that are showing up. That's, not that's what we're talking about. We want you to be that full gamut all the time. How are you talking? Where are you talking? Doesn't mean you can't have a private life. Just don't put it on camera. Don't show up. Level up 100%. Level up. You do have this, and great solutions, and you have a free gift, and we're going to share this. It's called the Economy Creators Challenge. And it's, finding out what's really holding you back and building your economy. But most importantly, who are you becoming? Because who you are on a personal level is definitely going to reflect your business 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So, economy creators is all about people who are building their personal economies. And personal economy has nothing to do with what's going on in the news. It really doesn't. It has everything to do with what's going on in here. And so what we do is we help people figure out what it is that they truly want. So many people don't even go there because they don't think, one, they don't feel like they can have it. They don't feel like they're worthy. There are lots of reasons why people don't ask themselves, what do I want? So that's the first step is identifying what the heck do I want? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my business to look like? How do I want them to blend together? Because as entrepreneurs, especially, we we're the center. It's us. It's who we are, and in our pieces of our economy as our business, but as our personal life is the thing that recharges us. Like horses for me is a central piece of my my economy, right? And so we do that, and then we find out, well, what's holding you back from doing that, right? And what are those programs that are holding you back? And then we move into self-image, which is so, so important to identify, well, let's ditch that old stuff and let's look through the windshield now. Let's go see what this looks like. What is this integrity? If I am in integrity with the goal that I'm setting for myself and I want this economy to look, then I'm going to get there. But if I am dabbling with what I want and then holding myself back with those old programs and those old ideas and thoughts and what my mom said 20 years ago, I'm holding myself back. So self-image is really important. And then we just I like saying spinning the plate. So we get one thing moving, for instance, you get your books going or something like that. You spin the plate and then you move forward and then you start the gym, and then this is just all my economy, and then you get going and you start the personal development and all those things, and you just keep spinning the plates and then you add more plates.
I love that. What happens when the plate falls off and breaks? You
You know what? Sometimes it does, and sometimes it's the best thing ever.
absolutely. It's not if, it's when.
Mm.
It's going to happen. It's just like, hey, we had some Zoom issues this morning. For some reason, every time I hit the button to go live, the Zoom didn't want to cooperate. When I went to show the commercial, it wasn't going over. And that's okay. It's not if, it's when. It happens. Maybe it's the signal that's out here. I'll blame it on there's a lunar eclipse somewhere, right? Or maybe it's just Mercury retrograde, because it's always Mercury retrograde, right? You can have all these reasons, but are you taking accountability for your own actions? And I love that there's the accountability partnership, and there's the decision and the implementation, taking action. And simple habits. If you're doing something physical every day, if you're exercising, you're changing, you're moving your body, you're going to feel different, because we think we need to be in this chair at all times, or even whether you're standing or sitting down, you're in one place and you're not moving. How is that feeling? And the best creation comes if you move. A moving meditation, take a walk, get outside, go for a run, get on your treadmill, get some sunshine somewhere. And the horses, I love that. What a great thing to say, hey, I'm successful and I get to reward myself by getting a horse, taking a ride, taking care of the horse, because I'm sure it's not a cheap thing. It's not like a dog you're throwing a little food
Yeah,
at once in a
no.
while.
No. The expense of the horse isn't buying the horse, it's keeping the horse. But you bring up such a good point, Nicole, about how do you show up when the plate falls? And that's part of the integrity of who you're becoming as well. How does that person who has your goal show up when the Zoom isn't working, when the commercial doesn't start? You just keep going. You took it in stride, right? And so we have to be in integrity with that person, that version of us at all times. It's not a different person. It's you. And so, who do you want to show up as? How do you want to show up as? What energy do you want to be sending out to the world? So, when you go to a networking show or you go on a summit or you do this with Nicole, how do you want your message to be perceived from the other end? What energy are you sending out? Are you sending out nervous and scared energy? I want to hide behind my phone, or are you saying, "Hey, this is who I am, and I'm I'm unapologetic about it, and this is what I offer, and this is how I can help you," right? And so, what message signal are you sending out? It comes from within. It doesn't come from lip service.
Totally. And that's showing up as you where you're at that moment. You're not always going to be your strongest, but you're showing up. Don't come like a mental patient. I know, I said it. Don't come like multiple personality person, like where you're one person here and another person over here, totally different. And I grew up with that. There's the issue in the home life, and I don't want to see people in that. You're not in a healthy place if you're denying that you're that person, because you're truly that person in that moment. You're still that's an imprint. You're still that person. That energy is going to go through. It's going to affect your business. It's not healthy. And in order to go through a quality transformation, a quality identity shift that's going to stay with you at all times. Not everybody's going to come. Not everybody's going to want to follow. You're when you start to shine. But if you have a good group of people, if you have accountability partners, if you have a strong team, those people have seen you at your worst and they're going to want to watch you do good. They're not going to run away from you. They're going to support you. And that's a very powerful identity shift. And this way, when you show up on camera, that message and everything in your workflow is going to follow. It's a liquid state, it's a fluid state, and that's going to follow. You're leaving that. People are going to move with you instead of backing up. And there's, this stoppage, like right here. You a plateau that you hit in the gym. Nothing's getting better. The muscle development's not working. You're not running any faster. You're actually lagging, and you feel worse for the wear after the workout. That means that there's something that needs to be reflected upon and looked at. Maybe you need to drink a little more water, but in life, maybe there's something that needs to shift. But you also write books.
Yeah.
And you publish too, right?
Yep, I'm a publisher as well.
So,
Yep.
so with that, with this wonderful shift and this movement and change, writing a book isn't just about, oh, I wrote a book or I got on an anthology and wrote a chapter. It's the quality of connection that someone has when they're speaking their truth, or they have something powerful, a message they want to share. Um, how important is it for someone that writes a book and puts it out? Maybe they want it to be a number one bestseller, and that's good. But what happens? What's the aftermath? I mean, we see that too, just even in people's emails or follow up after a summit. They don't say thank you for showing up. They don't say, hey, thanks for being there. Thanks for the support. Thanks for, get my gift. Remember me. So because you ultimately don't want that book to sit on the shelf. You want somebody to open it and read it. How many people, I wonder all the time, how many people are actually reading your book, buddy?
Right,
You
right.
know, so what's that change that needs to happen afterwards so they don't get the stoppage. It doesn't get flooded either.
That's a good question. And I think that just like most things that I teach, the after comes from building before. So, for instance, I really believe that part of marketing a book isn't waiting until the book is published. I think it's reaching out to people and letting people know that you're doing it now. And I'm in the process of doing it. And this is how I'm doing it. And this idea came up while I'm doing it. And people begin to relate to you. And then you build a community around that. And then it's more natural to stay connected after the book is published. And people will remember you and people will continue the conversation. And you don't have to be the one that's always continuing the conversation. People like Nicole could say, hey, be on a summit, right? And so you can begin to use that as a device to propel you forward. And that's so important. I actually spent yesterday and today, this morning, writing and editing a quick little ebook saying called Write the ebook already, because people have these ideas in their mind floating
I love
around and
that.
they never put it on paper. And so, or on the screen. And so I just took my 10-step process that I do almost every month and I just shared it with people because it is so important. And then after that, that way you can say, hey, just read this. You'll learn a little bit more about me and I'll follow up. Follow up. That is so important. Follow up.
Well, the fortune's in the follow-up, and I love that. And I think that's great. And hey, you guys, spoiler alert, we're gonna announce it soon, as soon as we get everything together. There is an author summit coming up in the next few months, and we're super excited. And Mary's gonna be part of it. Love it. There's gonna be it's gonna be listed in Voice Lab, and you guys will see it. We'll list a speaker call soon, and all the information will be going out in emails. But it's so important to get on the stage and talk about what you have, and people want the one I know for me is to just the powerful message that you can constantly share. And if somebody actually reads your book and maybe they can quote something, go, hey, I got a question about this, what really happened here, right? You want that in there somewhere where people are connected, and maybe giving them a video. So look for those in the packages too, because there is going to be an author package where we could do video and audio chapters and your own personal audiobook. It's not going to be an Amazon audiobook, but it's going to be for your group of people so you guys can move forward and look at that as well, and share something, and people can get little nuggets. It's great for going out there. If you're writing emails, if you're writing a blog, that becomes, I would gather, does that not become a book in a sense anyway?
Easy. Easy. You can totally do that. I love it. I think that that's so great because what are you doing? Every single time you write an email or write a blog, you're creating content and you're creating content that matters to you and to your audience. And that can always be compiled into a book. Think about like a YouTube playlist. Essentially, you just gather up all your blogs, get the best ones, and put them together in this playlist, for lack of a better term, and it becomes a book. It becomes something that you can really connect to, have your audience connect to, and something that is your calling card. I think it's a marvelous idea.
Yeah, what a great way for you to share with your group, because we're looking at for the Voice Lab platform, what more can we share with people to give them little nuggets of, hey, here's a Zoom on how to do your back office GHL, or here's a video of and I put in there, how to basically, what is a virtual summit and how to host it, because we know, but do we know we know? Do we really know? Have we done it? So have we really taken the action to understand it? Yes, we all have all the information. If you're a mom, you know it all. If you're a CEO, you've got all the information, but are you really implementing it? So there's a difference, people, between talking about rappelling off a 30-foot wall and actually doing it. There's a difference between climbing, and I've done this, climbing that big rope at Hunter Liggett by yourself, getting to the top of the rope by yourself, no hooks, no, there's no helmet. There's nobody holding that, and getting up there, and you're excited, and the wind hits when you're halfway up there, and you're like, okay, it's just this. It looks like a big fishing net, really, honestly, and you're like this little crawdad, or this felt like a little shrimp in the net or something. But there's nothing on the bottom but hard dirt. if you fall down. So you're in control of yourself going up this. And we want people to see that, hey, that we can actually be here with a net. We're going to be here for safe if you fall, if you go up there, that you can do this, that you can scale this. And if you've done it, you know, there's a lot of people who think they understand and they debate stuff all day. I love debates. I love critical thinking, but they talk all day. They've never experienced it.
Hmm.
There is a difference when you're halfway up and you're like, oh, the wind's hitting. There's nobody there. It's just going to be me. I felt like a tree, you know, if the tree falls in the forest, is anybody going to hear it? Oops. Nobody's got the camera out. But it's in the doing and getting on the stage. So this is, we're really going to support you in that journey. Tell the story and then get with your group. Actually do it. Go in there, try it. You know, let's see, let's get a blueprint, let's get a strategy, and it's all branding. So if you're speaking on the stage, if you're doing videos, if you're doing podcasts, that's imprinted out there for your group to have something they want to know. They want solutions. Mary's brought a lot of solutions on what you can do with your mind shift. Not only, you know, shift your mind, get on a podcast. There's solutions here today. Get Mary's giveaway. You know, about the Economy Creators Challenge. It's a mindset development. What can you do? That's something you can do. That's a trigger you should have already pulled. There's solutions here. It's going to make the world a better place. And we can all hug trees together and sing Kumbaya because it's actually fun, right? And it's funny. But, you know, on a larger scale, when we're talking about business, it gives you the ability to develop those habits in the long run. Have a good time. Have a group of people that support you. Write a book. Do cool things. But Mary, I want to give you the last words. Any great takeaways or anything else that you want to leave the audience with?
Well, what you say is so important. You know, we can and it's huge in self-development. That is why there are so many books out there. There are on self-development on like Think and Grow Rich, there's Master Key to Riches. I'm looking at all this stuff on my desk. Psycho-Cybernetics, Thomas Troward. There's all these books. My mentor Bob Proctor has all the content online, on YouTube, on his website. The disconnect is in the doing. We can gather all the information we need about building a business and getting out on a podcast or speaking at a summit or writing a book. We can gather all that information, but until and unless we actually execute on what we know, there is no need for the knowledge. There's none. If we're not going to use it, we don't need it. So, what knowledge are you going to implement? What are you going to do? Just one thing. Just pick one thing today.
Absolutely. The one thing that you're going to use to change is the implementation, and that's why you need someone like Mary, because you need to implement it. And she's going to hold you accountable, definitely. And she has a nice smile, so she'll be gentle, maybe. Not like me. You want to go? Let me help you. Don't look back. But anyway, hey guys, thanks for watching the Pain Point Podcast. Great tips today. I'd love to see you in the chat. Get Mary's mind shit. I can say that without swearing. I know I can. Get Mary's challenge. How about that? All right, you guys, and we'll see you at the summit. Don't forget to be back at 3:30 live on YouTube and Rumble. We'll have the speakers